I stared at my phone, the text from my brother, Jake, glowing like a neon middle finger. "Miami's canceled just for you, bro," followed by a laughing emoji. He was already sipping champagne in first class, probably toasting his own smugness, while I sat in my cramped apartment. The confirmation email for a $3,700 Airbnb rental in Miami burning a hole in my inbox. We'd planned this trip for months, a brother's getaway to celebrate my new job. I'd covered the Airbnb, the flights, even the deposit for a yacht rental. Jake's contribution. A half-hearted Venmo for $200 and a promise to handle the vibes. Classic. Then, the day before we were supposed to leave, he bylaid. Said he got a better offer from his buddy Chad for a private jet to the Bahamas. "You'll be fine, Ethan," he'd said over the phone, his voice dripping with that infuriating older brother condescension. "Just chill, it's not like you can't afford it." I wanted to scream, but I just hung up. The Airbnb was non-refundable. The yacht deposit? Gone, and my bank account was already wheezing. The next morning, I woke up to a notification from my bank. My card had been drained, not just low, empty. Thousands gone in a single night. Transactions I didn't recognize. $1,200 at some club in Vegas, $800 at a luxury watch store, $2,000 wired to an account I'd never heard of. My heart sank. I called the bank, but they were useless. Something about pending investigations and 48-hour holds. I checked my email, hoping for some explanation, and found nothing but a voicemail from Mom. "Ethan, stop being dramatic," her voice crackled through the speaker. "Jake told me you're sulking about the trip. This is urgent, call me back." Urgent? She didn't even ask about the money. I was fuming, pacing my tiny living room when I fired off a sarcastic gif of a cartoon character rolling its eyes. I was done with their nonsense. That's when I made the call. I dialed Leo, my old college roommate, who'd always been the guy you called when life went sideways. He wasn't just a tech genius. He was the kind of guy who could find dirt on anyone, hack into anything, and make it look like a clerical error. I hadn't spoken to him in years, but desperation has a way of digging up old contacts. "Yo, Ethan, what's good?" Leo's voice was as laid back as ever, like he was chilling on a beach instead of hunched over a keyboard in some dimly lit basement. "My brother screwed me over and someone emptied my bank account," I said, skipping the pleasantries. "I need help." Leo laughed, not mockingly, but like he'd been waiting for this moment. "Sounds like Jake's still a tool. Gimme the details." I laid it all out. The Miami trip, the Airbnb, Jake's betrayal, the drained account. I even mentioned Mom's voicemail, which Leo found particularly hilarious. "Your family's a soap opera, man," he said. "All right, send me your bank login and any weird emails you got. I'll poke around." I hesitated. Handing over my bank info felt like jumping off a cliff, but I trusted Leo. He'd bylaid me out of worse in college, like the time he'd fixed a professor's gradebook after I flunked a midterm. I sent him everything and waited. 2 hours later, Leo called back. "Bro, you got hit by a pro. Someone cloned your card and ran it through a skimmer network. The charges trace back to a shell account in the Caymans, but here's the kicker. The IP address that accessed your account last night? It's coming from a hotel in Nassau. Where's Jake right now?" My blood ran cold. "The Bahamas," Leo chuckled. "Yeah, thought so. I'm not saying it's him, but it's not not him. You want me to keep digging?" I didn't hesitate. "Do it." And Leo, "I want to make this hurt." Over the next 48 hours, Leo worked his magic. He traced the transactions, hacked into the hotel's security footage, and pulled data from Jake's social media. Sure enough, there was Jake, posting Instagram stories from a rooftop bar in Nassau, flashing a new Rolex and laughing with Chad and some influencers I didn't recognize. The timestamps matched the charges on my card. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut, but Leo wasn't done. "I got into the Airbnb account you booked," he said. "Someone logged in from Jake's phone and canceled the reservation. The refund didn't go back to you, it went to a different card. Guess whose name's on it?" I clenched my jaw. "Jake. Bingo, your brother's been playing you like a fiddle. But don't worry, I've got a plan." Leo's plan was insane, but I was too angry to care. He'd found out that Jake and Mom had been quietly planning to sell the family house, our childhood home, the one Dad left us in his will. They'd been keeping me in the dark, assuming I'd just go along with it. Mom's urgent voicemail suddenly made sense. She wanted to guilt me into signing off on the sale. The house was worth a fortune, and they were planning to split the profits without telling me. "Here's what we do," Leo said. "I've got a guy who can push the sale through fast, like today fast. We list the house, forge Jake's and your mom's signatures on the paperwork, and sell it to a cash buyer. The money goes into an escrow account only you can access. They'll come home to a sold sign and no keys. Poetic right? I should have said no. It was illegal, unethical, and probably a felony. But the image of Jake's smug face, sipping champagne while my bank account bled dry, pushed me over the edge. Do it, I said. The next 3 days were a blur. Leo worked his connections, and I stayed off the grid, ignoring Mom's increasingly frantic voicemails and Jake's texts asking why I wasn't answering. I didn't trust myself to respond without blowing the plan. Leo sent me updates. The house was listed, a buyer was secured, and the paperwork was airtight. He even hacked into the real estate company's system to make it look like Jake and Mom had initiated the sale themselves. By the time Jake's plane landed back in the States, it was done. The house was sold for $1.2 million, and the money was sitting in an account only I could touch. Leo had even arranged for a sold sign to be planted on the front lawn, complete with a lockbox that wouldn't open for Jake's or Mom's keys. I was at a coffee shop when I got the call from Jake. His voice was shaking. "Ethan, what the hell? The house is sold. The locks don't work. Where's my stuff?" I leaned back in my chair, sipping an overpriced latte. "Sounds like you're having a rough day, bro," I said, mimicking his tone from the Miami text. "Maybe you should have thought about that before you canceled my trip and drained my account." He sputtered, denying everything, but I wasn't listening. I hung up and opened my phone to a new email from Leo. A screenshot of Jake's bank account, now frozen thanks to a fraud alert Leo had triggered. Another email showed the Airbnb refund rerouted back to my account. Leo was thorough. Mom called next, hysterical. "Ethan, how could you? This was our home, your father's legacy." I didn't bother with a gift this time. "You should have talked to me before trying to sell it behind my back," I said. "The money's safe. We'll split it fairly after I get my $3,700 back, and maybe an apology." The fallout was messy. Jake tried to sue, but Leo's digital footprints were untraceable, and the paper trail made it look like Jake had agreed to the sale. Mom cried for weeks, but eventually she came around when I sent her a check for her share, minus the cost of the Airbnb and a little extra for my trouble. I used my cut to pay off my debts, move to a better apartment, and take a solo trip to Miami. The yacht was even better than I'd imagined. Jake's still mad, but he's got no leverage. Last I heard, he was crashing on Chad's couch, his Rolex mysteriously repossessed. Leo and I still talk, and he's hinted at other ways we could even the score if anyone else crosses me. For now, though, I'm good. I've got my money, my peace, and a story nobody believes when I tell it at parties. But the best part, every time Jake texts me whining about his latest problem, I send him the same sarcastic gif I sent Mom. And then I block his number.